Hey, what's up guys, my name's Frazzo, and welcome to another RPG Maker tutorial. Today I'll be talking about the stagger system from Final Fantasy VII Remake. Oddly specific, but yeah, it's from the remake and not the original, because the original does not have the stagger system, because there is no stagger. Maybe there is, I don't know, I haven't probably got that far if there is stagger in that game, but I'm pretty sure it's not in that game. Anyways, we'll be covering the following topics. Stagger damage bonus, well okay, actually stagger damage bonus will not be covered. That's a lie. Stagger pressure and stop, though stop is only there because it extends stagger duration. There are going to be some optional stuff that I will be going over during the tutorials, explanations. I won't be covering those because either they are kind of not too difficult to make, or they aren't really necessary to tutorial. That's what I'm not gonna really be covering today. So, kind of a simple tutorial, not as big as this latest Spire one, but, well, let's get on with it. Alright, let's go on with the plugins, and there are a few that can be used, and there's one that isn't required, but it's nice to use, and is usable in this one. Anyways, we're gonna go with the main ones here: buff and states core and skill core, which I've been using quite a bit recently because I am now discovering their true potential. Let's just say that they are pretty much essential, or actually buff and states core is quite essential to this tutorial. But the other one is auto passive states, which is right here. Auto passive states isn't really necessary for this one, or to be honest, most uses, but most uses when it comes to these tutorials, because usually they're attached to an enemy and you can just do that through troop event, which is what we're doing today, actually. We'll be attaching one state to basically every enemy, but in that case, you would need base troop events. Actually, no, that wouldn't happen every time. So you don't need base troop events, okay. Yeah, auto passive states, buff states core because we're going to be doing a lot of states, and skill core because, stop, basically. No, actually no. One of the skills will require skill core, but you'll see that later. And with that, I can announce that there are no variables or switches, so we can go on right to the next section of the tutorial. Alright, so let's go over the stagger and stagger gauge states, because they come in the form of two states. Let's go over stagger first, because this is actually probably the easier one. Stagger is a state in which, well, maybe I should explain it first. Stagger is a state in which an enemy, once hitting full stagger gauge, which will be represented by a state in this case, will be immobilized for a certain period of time and will be taking bonus damage, which is represented by physical damage and magical damage special parameters in this case. More on that later. But we'll be setting its removal conditions to remove at battle end and after 5 turns. Have a little message right here. And, well, the only thing we really want to discuss here is, well, it has to do with the other state, which is state 135, stagger gauge. Stagger gauge is, well, it's quite important actually. I don't think priority really matters, but at least less than stagger, I guess. But no restrictions, nothing like that, but there is a removal well, actually, I don't think you need a removal condition, because it's gonna be used as an auto passive state, or whatever. So I don't think, yeah, there's no point remove a battle end. Anyways, each attack the target suffers results in 20% stagger gauge increase. This is, I spelled gauge wrong, but that is only true for tutorial because usually it'd be like a very slight increase. Basically, every time the foe takes, so explaining stagger gauge here, every time an enemy takes damage greater than 0, because if they didn't take damage there's no point. If they took damage and they would have their stagger gauge increased by a little bit. In this case, we're going to have it so every hit grants 20 out of 100 gauge. So once the stagger gauge hits 100, in this case, the target will be affected with stagger. But things like exploiting weaknesses and the pressure state can help to make that increase rise even further. In this case, it can go from the base 20 stagger increase to a total of 40 stagger increase. 10 from each one of these factors. Anyways, we'll be going on to this sudden notes here. Custom apply effect when the state is applied to an enemy. So actually, I'm not sure if auto passive states works with this, but hopefully it does. We'll be setting the user state counter of this particular state, aka state 135, to 0, so that we have it's basically like a gauge. So we don't want it to start at like halfway through the gauge or whatever. We want to start at completely empty. Then we want the user to remove state 136. Now this will come into play later on, which is pressure. I just realized that that's probably... Yeah, that... Why did I put that? We don't need that. Okay, forget what I said. Anyways, that'll be it for custom apply effect. So, again, once the state is applied, custom react effect, aka every time this user is attacked, or in this case the target, because, as I mentioned before in previous tutorials, target and user are switched in a react effect. If the value of the damage taken is greater than 0 and is an HP effect, and then we'll have another conditional branch inside that one if the target's state counter for state 135, aka this particular state, the stagger gauge, is greater or equal to 100% technically, but 100 in this case for state counter. We'll be adding nothing and basically doing nothing because we don't want anything to happen once it hits 100. But I'll explain some more about that later. Otherwise, we'll be adding 20 to the state counter, or whatever you want. It could be 20, it could be 5, whatever you want. And we'll be starting the animation, hit effect to be specific, but you don't really need that, it's not really required. If the target is now affected by the state 136, aka pressure, and we'll have this same conditional branch as previously used. If the state counter for 135 is greater or equal to 100, nothing happens. Otherwise, we'll be adding another 20. Wait, did I go up? Yeah, I went up. My bad. It's actually 10. I knew something didn't look right. We'll be adding 10. So if the target is afflicted with pressure and gets hit with an attack, they'll be getting 30 instead of the usual 20. And the animation will play regardless because we'll be adding some stacks. Now, if the target is affected with state 134, aka stagger, we don't want anything to happen. Otherwise, if the target state counter for state 135, stagger gauge, is greater or equal to 100, aka max gauge, we'll be adding state 134, stagger, setting the state counter for 135 to be 100, though I don't think this actually works for some reason. Then we'll be starting an animation that indicates that stagger has been inflicted. And it's going back to stagger, we also have this custom leave effect where once this stagger expires of its turn count, we'll be setting stagger gauge to be 0 because we want that to reset every single time stagger is removed, so that we can do the whole stagger gauge thing again. Yeah, that was a long section, but let's go on to the next one. Alright, relatively short sections here. With the pressure states and the stop states next, though they don't really have much to do with the actual tutorial. Or I mean they do, but they're not really too important. The pressure states is going to be indicated by the silence icon here, and the restriction is that the user cannot move. In the original game, I'm not sure what less likely to react to attacks means, but in this case, we'll be using evasion and magic evasion instead. Because, well, that game was technically an action turn battle. Well, it's an action RPG, so it's not really turn-based, so in our case, it would be evasion and magic evasion. Oh, there is evasion, never mind. They'll be also stunned temporarily. This is a very minor stun, and they'll gain stagger much more quickly. And by much more, I mean technically 50% of your normal rate. aka you get 10 more, because we said that in stagger gauge. But we're saying to remove battle end, restriction cannot move, and after 3 turns. So, okay, I'm gonna admit something here. I used the wiki for most of this because I didn't know what the mechanics were exactly. More on that later. But, so it said something like, if the target is not, the does not hit full stagger when they're pressured, then they go back to... they're able to act again, which just means I'm pretty sure that pressure gets removed after a set time period, which means that they wouldn't be able to be immobilized anymore. I don't know why they worded it like that. Maybe it's something different than what I'm thinking about, but this is how I'm interpreting it. But yeah, nothing really happened. Nothing needs to happen in this note box here. We also have stop, which is another cannot move restriction skill or state 3 times in a row here. Remove conditions that remove a battle end and turn count 4 to 4. Specifically because, well, later on, as I said earlier, if a target is inflicted with stop and has staggered, their stagger count will... I'm not even sure if I said this, but basically, what I just said, if the target has stop, or is inflicted with stop, and also has stagger, their stagger count will grow for as long as the stop takes. We're setting it to 4 to 4 here so that we can have a solid flat amount of 4 added to the state counter for stagger. I'm not sure how to actually do it with like a range, so it stops lasting 3 to 7 turns. I'm not sure how you would do that, but it would have to be really complicated. That's why I'm basically not doing it for the tutorial. But yeah, nothing really needs to happen here except for that explanation. We're going on to the skills now, which are quite important as well. Alright, going on to the skills here. Apologize if I'm talking too quickly, but I don't know, I'm very energetic right now. But we'll be going to Stopka right here, which will just simply inflict stop on an enemy. In this case, it'll also increase the turn count staggered by 4. This is another feature of the buff states core, which allows us to add turns to a specific state if the target happens to have that state. In this case, if they have state 134, aka stagger, we'll be adding 4 turns. I mean, with the skill, we'll also be inflicting the stop state and all the shenanigans, certain hit, and animation, scope 1 enemy. But yeah, Stopka, not really much of use in this tutorial, except for demonstrating that stop and stagger works like this. But anyways, Firaga, or Firaga, will deal fire damage to an enemy. Same thing with the scopes here, not really too important. Damage is not really important. Element, well, this is to demonstrate that an elemental skill that attacks the enemy that has, well, a weakness to this particular element, their stagger gauge will increase even further. So in this case, we'll be using the skill core evaluation script. So after evaluation with this note tags, if the target's element rate of element 2, in this case, by default in RPG Maker MV, 2 is fire, so if the target's element rate for fire is greater than 1, then we'll be adding 10 to the state counter of state 135, which is the stagger gauge. Yeah, very simple for Firaga here. Then finally we'll go into Pressure Zap, which just inflicts pressure on an enemy. It's not really something too special. But yeah, we'll be going to the demonstration, which is going to take a bit of work. But yeah, we'll get there. And with that, hey, what's up guys? I'm in demonstration. Both voicing over it and also in the actual demonstration, like always. But anyways, as you can see there, the enemy does have the stagger gauge state, and has 0 on it, because it is not filled up yet. Yeah, speaking of the obvious here, it was added through the troop event, because I did not use an auto passive state on him, unfortunately. But we'll be going to the tactics here, and we have Stopka Fire. Okay, actually we're not going to do that yet. We're actually going to attack it first, so we can get some damage. I mean, it'll keep attacking us too, but I don't think it's gonna kill us before the tutorial's end, or kill Runefire before the tutorial ends. We're just gonna get that to 100 just so we can show off the actual stagger. Pay attention to the fact that we're doing 18 damage per hit, and also having an animation play, but that's not really too important. Its final attack will be inflicting stagger, and now it had a stagger count of 5, but that's 4. Now, if we do another attack here. Okay, it's not, okay, 88 damage is a critical hit, but if we do an attack here, does do 29 damage, which is roughly 1.6 times. Fun fact, I was actually gonna do the 1.6 times your scripts, except it made it legitimately 1.6, and that results in like 28.8, which is not 29, but it's close enough. Yeah, the health bar went wacky. Let's not talk about that and keep talking about the demonstration. As you can see, there's 2 turns left. Now, 1 turn will elapse after we use a skill, but if we use Stopka, it should increase by 4. And, well, it's at 5 now because, well, 2 plus 4 is 6. It subtracts 1 because of the turn elapse. But yeah, it went down to 5 turns, well, went up technically to 5 turns of stagger, but we have a 3-turn stop remaining on it. So we're doing other stuff like waiting for the stagger to run out because we gotta demonstrate other stuff first. Now let's use pressure zap, which should increase every attack to inflict 30s, or to raise the gauge by 30 points instead of 20. Every time we attack, not when we use it. So we're using that and attacking once, and as you can see, the stagger gauge has raised to 30. Which is 10 higher than what we normally did. I'll be using Firaga, which, since the enemy has a weakness to Firaga, which I didn't show off, it should raise it by 40. Because it is also under the effects of pressure. Which it did, because now it's 70. Hooray. We'll be using Firaga again, just so we can get it back to stagger. But, that'll be it for this demonstration. I'd like to okay, something went wrong. Wow, I did not expect to do that during a demonstration. Oof, okay, I need to... Okay, wait here while I look up what went wrong. Yeah, I don't know what went wrong, but I should note that at least somewhere in the tutorial, so maybe the description. I'm keeping this audio in, but I'm pretty sure the game has... Okay, the game is still going. But I will be noting somewhere in the description that something did go wrong during the tutorial, unfortunately. I don't know what it is at the moment, I don't know if I'll ever find it, but I will note that somewhere. I'm just gonna go to the outro for now, but hopefully something comes up from it. Alright, see ya. Hey y'all, Runefire Storm here at the end. And I know it took a bit of a while. By a bit of a while, I mean not upload, because technically I am uploading this on Sunday, hopefully, as long as I am focused on editing. But yeah, it actually wasn't planned to be the stagger system. I literally thought of the stagger system 1 hour before I decided to make it. It's because I need more time and thinking... Because the other things I wanted to make were a gacha system, well, at least a different gacha system, because Driftwood Gaming did make one, and I do not want to replicate that. So we're not doing the gacha system. I was gonna do the Fire Emblem Heroes gacha system, but not really interested in that anymore. I was also gonna do the shuffle time system from Persona. Yeah, I don't think that's happening. That's gonna be a lot of work if I do that. Maybe I'll do that. I don't know. I was also thinking about the Paper Mario badge system, which is basically just equip battle slots, but lots more complicated, and I don't think I'd had the right scripts. I need scripts that, like, well, I need different kinds of scripts, basically. So I'm not sure if I can do that. Maybe I can, I don't know. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't know what I have in store for next time. I just want to get this tutorial out of the way, which sounds like I'm rushing it, but... Well, I guess, but from the way I was talking earlier, it would kind of sound like I'm rushing it. But that was a 6-minute section. One of the sections was 6 minutes. Even with my rushing voice, so... Yeah, I don't know what to say about that. Yeah, with that said, this tutorial's over. And with that, I say, see you guys, and stay safe.